Well. We're back with another riveting episode. So, I hope you're doing well. Doing pretty damn well. Um, I don't know what else to say. That's all I got. I know what I'm going to talk about, though. I'm going to talk about CRISPR. It's fucking fascinating shit. In previous episodes, I've said that we're going to change as a species, and we're already different from what human beings are from hunter-gathering. But we're not just going to change from technology. We are going to change biologically, genetically, and in the core of our DNA, we are going to change into something else. CRISPR is technology that's been around since the beginning of time. Mother Nature actually made it. It is taking this Cas9 protein, I believe it is, and it's in bacteria. And what this Cas9 protein does is, so when a virus infects bacteria, the bacteria, most of them die, but there is some that survive. And so scientists were testing these bacteria that survived and trying to figure out how they survived. And what they had found out was the ones that had survived had copied some of the DNA from the virus so that the next time with this Cas9 protein, I don't know if it's a protein, but I'm going to call it that. If I'm wrong, tell me. But I believe it's a protein. But this Cas9 protein makes this bacteria remember some of the genetic code, the DNA, from the virus. So the next time it encounters this virus, it knows, oh, it's like a wanted poster, right? You see this and you're like, oh, this is wanted, it's a criminal, kill it or lock it up in the case of our society. But in the case of these viruses and stuff, the bacteria is like, oh, here we go, I know what this is, kill it, and it kills it off. And so the fact that bacteria has memory and can remember this sort of stuff was fascinating to scientists, and they were trying to figure out if we could do that in humans. And so they started working on it. It's been going on for a little while. It's pretty new technology, though, because our technology couldn't do it to the point we're doing it now. And I believe, China has tested it on humans, but I don't know if any other country has, just because there's ethical concerns and shit like that. But what they're trying to do is literally use this Cas9 protein, program it with a certain kind of DNA strand, put it into a human being, delete it. It snips the DNA that you want to cut, and then it repairs it. See, our body has a natural ability to repair DNA. I think the documentary I was watching last night, it was talking about how when we get x-rays, it's splitting DNA. Don't ask me how that works. I am not a genius. But it splits the DNA, and the DNA repairs itself. So our DNA naturally repairs itself because it's got two sister strands, or one strand and then a sister strand. And what happens when one gets cut is this DNA strand gets the copy from the sister strand, and then it just repairs itself. So what this Cas9 protein does is it takes this genetic code that you want to put in there, snips the fucking DNA, replaces the DNA with this one gene. It's just one letter. We've got like thousands of letters in our DNA strand, and we need to change just one specific letter. That's where like genetic disorders like sickle cell and leukemia and all this other shit come from. So they take this and they cut this and then they repair it with what they want to repair it with, and then it just repairs itself back together. And this could solve, like I said, sickle cell, anemia, leukemia, muscle dystrophy. Could solve a lot of these problems, and that's what they're working on right now, is solving these problems. But it's going to get to the point where, and this is the crazy part, we can literally take out, if we're precise enough with this technology, we can get to the point where we can take out any genes we want and not only change living or already formed organisms like myself and whoever's listening, but we're going to be able to design basically babies. And that's crazy as fuck. Like, instead of so what we do now, you take two people, the DNA, it rolls together, and then just shakes the dice and throws them, and then you hope that you get a good kid that doesn't have any genetic disorders or problems, you know. But what we're going to be able to do with this technology is we're going to be able to essentially design the baby in whatever way we want. Oh, it's got these bad genes. It's still going to be the baby from the parents, but it's going to be the best possible version of that baby. It's going to be able to take out these genetic disorders if they have them, and then you're going to have a baby that is perfectly healthy and not going to die of anything if it is prone to these diseases. But not only is it going to be able to do that, you can program anything you want. Weird motherfucker screaming. You can program anything you want. Say you want your baby to have blonde hair, blue eyes, but you're black. Well, it's going to have those features if you want them to have those features. The baby can look completely separate from you, but share your DNA, is basically what I'm saying. And it doesn't stop there either, because let's say, there's a lot I gotta unwrap in this statement that I'm about to make, but let's say you want to make the perfect soldier. Take out the genes that make them feel pain and fear, and maybe you can enhance hand-eye coordination and strength. You've got a great soldier that does not respond to fear, that does not feel pain, but it'll run into fucking battle strong. Maybe it's better at shooting, you know. It's going to be wild. But not only that, you can program a great musician, a highly intelligent person. We're going to be able to basically program anything into our DNA that we wish to choose. And that's where the ethical concerns come in. Do we really want to be messing with the genes of babies and stuff like that? And messing with the genes of people who don't need it. And it's not going to stop there either. You want to change your skin green? You can change your skin green. It's going to be wild. You could probably look like anything. Like the future, you could probably, if you want to be a banana, I'm sure you could change it, specific genes, change your skin color yellow, make your skin look like a peel. It's going to be crazy. We're going to be able to do anything. But, where do I want to go with that? The thing is, there's two sides of the coin, because one, should we be rolling the dice on this, the future generation of society, basically? Should we be rolling the dice on that? And also, we've been genetically modifying biological organisms since we began farming, because all the food that we eat, basically, not just the animals, but the plants as well, like the fruit, vegetables, all of that stuff that we eat used to be completely different. Tomatoes, watermelon, peaches, what else? Corn, eggplant. I'm trying to remember what I read in an article yesterday because I was trying to prepare for this. We've modified bunch of different species over time to be more edible and more filling, basically. Because, strawberries, I believe, as well. But corn used to be a grass. It used to be like 5 little green kernel things on top of a weed, basically. And we modified that by putting different seeds together, selecting for um, different looks and tastes and things like that we enjoyed. And you take these seeds, this one's a little more yellow, this one's a little softer. You put those two together, boom, you got something that's more yellow and softer. And then you keep doing that over the course of millions of years. Well, I should probably say hundreds of thousands of years. And you get to the food we have today. That's the one side. But the other side is, well, you could mess something up. Like, I think one of the first testings they did on humans, I think they were removing a gene or a strand of DNA, and it worked on some people or some children, but the other children developed cancer. And I'm trying to recall this, but I'm pretty sure, I'm sure that happened, but I'm not sure exactly how it happened because I forgot that part. But it comes to the concern and point that, are we playing God to an extent? Because we're going to get to a point like the example they used on the documentary I was watching was, there was cars before Ford, but they were unreliable, expensive, and broke down all the time. And then Ford came in, he made them cheap, reliable, and made them long lasting. And now everybody has a car. And that's going to be the same thing with CRISPR. Because right now, they're doing this in labs and such, where they are getting good results. But it's going to get to a point where you could go to your home computer, select for the genes either your child or you want, and boom, click the button and you just edit your genome and DNA. It's going to be wild. But are we playing God? Like, that is a serious question. And to the extent of where do we draw the line? We haven't developed all these things yet, where we draw this line. Like I said, China just used this technology. I think they were the first to use it on humans, and they took out a gene, or not a gene, I keep saying a gene, but it's really DNA. They took out this strand of DNA that caused HIV, so they were resistant to HIV. But also, another concern is, so sickle cell is when your red blood cells can't hold their form properly because one piece of DNA is fucked up. So they collapse in on themselves, or they appear as semicircles rather than full circles. And this is really prevalent in places that have malaria. Like, they put a map of sickle cell where it's most common, and they put a map of malaria on top of that. And what it showed was most places that have sickle cell that prevalent also have malaria, because sickle cell protects against malaria. So you want sickle cell more often than not if you are in a place with high accounts of malaria. And so that begs another question. Well, it's like fucking with ecosystems, right? You take one thing out, say there's mountain lions and there's deer, right? You take the mountain lions out, the deer are going to overpopulate, eat all the grass, and devastate that landscape. You take deers out, the lions will starve and have nothing to eat. You have too many deers, the lions will take care of that. You have too many lions, then that'll devastate the ecosystem. The same thing is with DNA. And do we really know what we're fucking with is really the question. Because, like technology, we didn't expect it to get this big. We didn't expect it to be everywhere, but here it is. It's like that scene from Jurassic Park where Ian Malcolm is telling the older guy, I forgot his name, the one who made the park originally, that he said, your scientists were so excited to figure out if they could that they never stopped to figure out if they should. And that's how Jurassic Park really went wrong. Yeah, they could make dinosaurs, but should they have made dinosaurs? And did they really think about, can we contain these things? What happens if they get out? That's a problem with humans. We never really think about things before we already fucked it up. Like the planet. This chick used an analogy. Well, I'm not sure if it's an analogy, but she said, you can't tell if you're messing something up until you look backwards. Like when we started farming, we didn't really expect it to get to the point where we're devastating ecosystems and fucking the soil up and our nutrients and stuff. But now that we look backwards, we can see the problems that we took, and if we are smart enough, which a lot of people are worried about money right now, but if we are to fix this problem, we can by looking at what we've done and how we're going to fix it. And where do I want to go with all that now? So, I guess I kind of touched on the future of what's possible. We will be able to look like anything we want, select traits, any trait we want. We'll be able to do really whatever we want. We can fuck with our own shit. And then you add that with Neuralink and whatever else we're working on, AI, yep, and AR, Jesus Christ, I couldn't remember what it was. AR, AI, and Neuralink, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and Neuralink, which is what Elon's working on. And we're going to be something unfathomable to what we are right now. We're going to have access to everything on the internet. Everything, you just think about it and it's there. You will be able to augment your reality with glasses. They're already working on that to the point where you can bring up all your texts if you want to in front of your face. You can bring up videos. You can change reality any way you want. You can, if you hate this person, you could change them into something you like, and then it's easier to talk to them. But also, not only will be able to access the full entirety of the internet by thinking about it, we'll be able to access AI, or they will be able to access us. We aren't sure yet. We don't think about this kind of stuff, or at least the people building it aren't. But the people who are worried about AI are the people building AI, which is crazy. But they don't stop. They're just go, 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 go. That's another problem with humans. We never stop to think. We just do it. And we build. Even if we see a problem in the future, we're like, fuck it. Just keep going. We'll figure it out when we get there. And that's why we have a lot of problems in society now. But that brings me to this book that I'm listening to right now, because this documentary talked about it. And it's by Aldous Huxley, and it's called The Brave New World. Now, I had heard of Aldous Huxley before. He was an English writer. He was born in 1889, I think, and died in 1963 or something. And he had written this book in 1932, or he'd written it in 1931, published it in 1932, and back then it was all fantasy. But now, listening to it now, I mean, it's kind of hard to understand the book itself. I won't lie about that, but when you start to piece things together, it is insane because the book's basically a science fiction book about this world where it's the future. I think it's based in 2540 or something like that, where everybody's genetically modified. I think they're all sterile. They don't reproduce naturally like we do. They are all grown in tubes. They are bred for working, like specific jobs. Say you want a good firefighter, you breed the traits for that. You want a good policeman or whatever the job is. They breed these people for these jobs, and then you've got them. I think they have sex. By the sounds of it, it's kind of confusing, but I'm pretty sure they have sex, but they don't have kids because they're sterile. And they chew hormone gum, all kinds of weird shit. And they also take this drug, their work gives to them. And by the sounds of it, I may be wrong. It was like every substance put together, and it's called soma. And they basically use this drug every time they feel an emotion. Every time they're happy or not happy, if they feel anything but happiness, sadness, anger, jealousy, all this stuff. But I don't think they feel jealousy, because I'll get to that in a second. I don't think they feel jealousy. Hold that thought. But this drug, it's basically they're basically incentivizing escaping reality, which is what people say that we use drugs for now, which a lot of people do. But I think drugs are supposed to be tools, and if you use them correctly, they are a tool in some sense, but I think they're actually technology. They are a biochemical technology that we can put in our brains and allow our brains to function in a different manner if used correctly and responsibly. But these drugs they use to escape reality whenever they're feeling angry or sad or something other than happiness, basically. And it's crazy. They take the drug a lot. Like every time they're like, "Oh, my mom's dying. Let me take soma. I'm angry at this person. Let me take soma." And they're basically fed propaganda from birth. They have these little speakers that they play these propaganda statements like "Soma is the only way," and they say some communist shit like everybody belongs to everybody and nobody is an individual. And what I've gathered, I think they're basically, because it's illegal, I don't think it's illegal actually, but they strongly discourage being alone, and then on top of that they incentivize them to take these drugs every time, and it's incentivized to the point where their job gives it to them. Like, they get 4 half-gram doses every day after work, and then on Saturdays they get 6 half-gram doses. And basically it said one gram is to feel elated and euphoric and happy. 2 grams is to, I forget, but 3 grams is to go to the moon, escape reality. And there's this chick that so basically, why I think they didn't feel jealousy is because, like I said, their statement was everybody belongs to everybody and there's no individual. There's no families anymore in this proposed society, or in this fictional society. There's no marriage anymore. Everybody just fucks everybody. If you want to fuck somebody, you go fuck somebody. That's it. There's no determined structure when it comes to family and stuff. People are just fucking out of control. They're taking drugs and they're just working. They're basically just designed as work machines, and it's a pretty crazy book. But so what happens is these people, what they consider us, like people who live like us, is savages. They consider us to be less than them. which makes sense because that's what we considered. Well, we consider hunter-gatherer tribes and tribes in the Amazon and shit like that to be less than us now. So it makes sense to look at them that way. But these people go to one of the savages' villages on vacation, and they find this woman who used to live in this higher civilization, but then the director of that civilization left her there because he had gotten her pregnant somehow. Maybe the sterilization didn't work, whatever it may be, and she had a child, and that is looked down, is frowned upon in this society. Having a child the old reproductive way is looked at as bad. Mothers are looked down on, which it's kind of looking like that today. It's wild, and also fathers are looked at as a joke, but they have vacuums and they talk about all this. They talk about being able to sit in chairs and putting your hands on these things, and you can feel what's going on in movies. You can smell what's going on in movies. But what I was gonna say is this woman who had been living in this tribe, she had been taking peyote, and what happened was she would take it very often and neglect her child, but also she did it because she missed soma, the drug that they had made. And when she had gotten back to this higher civilization, she had just taken a bunch of soma to the point where it destroyed her respiratory system, and she basically is on, where I left off. She was basically on the deathbed, on death's door, and her son had also gone back with her because she had taught him how to read and write. They still considered him a savage, and they used him basically like a celebrity, but not really a celebrity because people just wanted to look at him and see how he acted and shit. So basically a zoo animal, I should say. But this chick that he had liked was trying to figure out if he liked her back, and he did. He just didn't say it because in his society you're supposed to kill a lion and give him the pelt or do something noble basically to marry this woman, is what he's supposed to do in his society. And rather than doing that, the chick from the higher society came in and she tried to have sex with him, and he freaked out and he pushed her, and I think he hit her or something, because he was freaking out, and he started calling her a whore because in his society sex before marriage is looked at as terrible, because they consider these people savages just because they still believe in Christianity, they still believe in superstitions, they still do marriages, still have kids the way we do today. That's why they look at this society as savages. So my basic point about talking about all this, I almost lost it, but back then in 1931 when he was writing this, it was fantasy. But he was trying to warn about what could happen potentially if we kept going down the path we were going down. And now, in 2023, let's see, I think it's 93 years later. I think I did the math earlier. Maybe 91. I don't fucking know. Why am I trying to figure this shit out? It doesn't matter. But in this time, it's starting to look a lot more like that book every day. And it's not a quick change. Progress doesn't happen fast. It happens slowly. And you don't realize a revolution is going on until it's already taken place and happened. And this book is mind-boggling because it's way ahead of its time. It's basically pointing to what CRISPR is going to be able to do. Genetically modify people, sterilize them, grow with kids out of the womb. Technology that we can sense things through, more real than the outside world. My phone's about to die. I gotta plug this motherfucker in. But yeah, it's pretty fucking wild what this book is saying is going to happen, because it's basically happening right now. And this was written almost 100 years ago. And it's insane. It's real wild, because we're getting to a point where we should stop and figure out if this technology, not if it should be done, because it can cure a lot of genetic disorders and problems that would otherwise kill children, but we should figure out where this line should be drawn, because if we just go balls to the wall, going all willy-nilly, or even if it falls in the wrong hands, like I said earlier, China has already done this on people. So what if Russia or China, or one of the enemies that we've made along the way, because the United States likes to go into wars, develops this technology faster than we do, and they make it to where they have soldiers that are strong, like I was saying before, stronger, the ability to not feel fear or pain, hand-eye coordination's better, they're natural born shooters. This would not be good for us. And that begs another question. Even if we do draw the line in the United States, are they going to draw the line? It has to be where we all agree that we're going to do this. And even then, we can barely trust China and Russia and all these other countries. So it gets to a point where we really don't know. We're not going to be able to stop it. It's going to take on a life of its own, like the internet did, and like phones did, and like everything else has done. Yeah, humans made it, but we don't control that shit anymore. It just does its own thing. So, yeah, it's going to be wild. What else do I want to talk about here? I don't know. It's just something to think about. This CRISPR technology is going to be revolutionary. And they used to only be able to do 1 or 2 pieces of DNA at once. But this lab has done 60 something now. And they've genetically made pigs. And the pigs are making offspring. So we're getting to a point where it's going to be a possibility. It's not going to be in like 50 years. It's going to be in like 10, 20 years, I think. Same with Neuralink. They've already gotten approved for human trials. We're in a turning. That's why everything seems like it's falling apart. Because we're in this time where it's a turning point. Like when we were riding horses, and then somebody came up with planes and cars and all this other shit, we probably felt like it was falling apart then. But it just took some time to get used to it and figure out where this stuff belonged in society. And I think that's how it's going to be again. I like to believe that humans are innately good. Yeah, we do a lot of fucked up, stupid shit. But I like to believe that we aim for good. Taking care of family, taking care of, we're just trying to make our lives good, just have a good life, be happy. And some people do that in fucked up ways. But yeah, that's about all I got, really. It's just something to think about. It's pretty crazy. What I was also going to say before I end this was Soma is actually a real drug. The brand name is Soma, and the actual prescription drug name is crispr. And what's crazy about that is it's a muscle relaxer, so it takes pain away. And also, the side effects if you've taken too much is drowsiness, which they always fall asleep off that shit in the book. Giddiness, which is just laughing a lot and being happy. And there was one more, but that's crazy that it's a real drug. It was patented or it was approved by the FDA in 1959, so like 20 something years after this book was made. It is wild. But I'm actually ending this thing now. Goodbye.